Hello, hello, hello. Today is August the 6th, Gregorian calendar 2016, and our ancient Kemetic calendar 6,265. This is Professor Lorenzo McCoy again. And this topic, I'm glad it's not the usual somebody got shot, topic. But I do have to bring some bad news. A lot of you have already heard it. That the great nutritionalist, the great teacher, the master healer, Dr. Sebi, has passed away today from all the reports. And someone I saw, has contact with his daughter, and she confirmed it also. I know recently Dr. Sebi was going through something. Somebody said he was incarcerated or something. We're talking about an older brother like in the 70s or 80s, you know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure that particular type of stress couldn't have helped out the situation. But I like to think about all the positivity and knowledge that he has brought to a lot of us. Controversial, brother. And controversy is not a negative thing. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further because a lot of people still don't know who Dr. Sebi is. A lot of people never heard of Dr. Africa, Dr. Sebi. But a lot of people who use my health program, my Heal Thyself University.net, where I teach people how to get in shape in 30 days. It's basically a life-changing format that helps you and helps your brain to slowly change over time, even though it's quick, 30 days. And for those who keep doing the program past that 3-month period, you got it. But a lot of my information comes from people like this, Dr. Sebi. You've probably heard me use the name Dr. Sebi and Dr. Africa, Jehudi Ma'at-Ra, Kidiobia Wadu, Dr. Makola, Purity Products. You know what I'm saying? There's a Dr. Marshall. There's a lot of scientists and researchers who have helped me over the years to accumulate and amass an amount of knowledge that helped me to, in my own personal life and the lives of people close to me, to be able to, and I hate to say, confront doctors, medical doctors, to the point where I can weed out doctors that just want to get paid off of you and really find doctors that don't mind working with me and my family. I was with a woman earlier in life who had kidney problems, and they basically told her she was going to die in a few years because she had been on medication since she was 16. So she was probably my first big patient and so-called client, which of course I would never use those terms. This was a woman I used to love back then. And just by changing things in her diet, and of course I used to keep people who remember me from back then, I used to keep a medicine bag with me. I consider myself a healer because that's what I was. Mainly healing myself, keeping a medicine bag with me of different herbs. And I changed things in her eating. I used to put herbs in her food to take it from the standard American diet and gave her a very well-balanced, powerful, nutritionally rich lifestyle. I'm not saying diet because it has the word die in it. It's a lifestyle. Humans are supposed to eat human healing food, nutrition. For your body, your spaceship, your vessel, your divine vessel, you have to have divine fuel put in it for it to operate and function optimally. Dr. Sebi was one of those griots, elder teachers, not mentors, jegnes. Mentor in the Greek society means something totally different, but I understand we use those terms because a lot of people never heard of jegne. But even as a person I never met personally, through his videos, through his books, through his products, I learned a lot. And I'm going to add some videos just for people who, as my little tribute to someone who I want to be remembered for hundreds of thousands of years, like Imhotep, because he is in the vein, in the vibration of modern day Imhotep. And there are many that are still here that maybe this video might reach someone who's never even heard of him. But this is where we are. Basically, Dr. Sebi, and he'll introduce himself in the videos I'm going to put up there for you, was a brother from Honduras. And I do have an affinity for our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, because a lot of our righteous knowledge warriors are coming from the Caribbean and Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like this brother from Honduras, and the brother who wrote the books, Raul Neframen, he wrote the books. Sorry, I'm driving at the same time. Metuneter or Meduneter. He's from Panama. A lot of people don't know that. That's where that accent comes from. He's from Panama, man. We got Ivan Van Sertima from Guyana. We've got, well, the list is long. We can just keep going. And people like to forget that. When we think of blackness, when we think of health, for whites here and blacks here, we sort of get an ethnocentric way of looking at the universe, and we forget a lot of the things that have cultivated the fruits that we love here. And I'm not talking about fruits tangibly as the food, but fruits in terms of knowledge. They get cultivated by mixing in with the spirits of people here and abroad. We get this, even those of us so-called in the conscious community, we like to forget that when we think of knowledge in America, consciousness, everything has got to be from here. That's not the case. You know what I'm saying? It's a very delicious mixture from the whole planet. If you think of that best super live salad you've ever eaten, that's how knowledge is. It's not just from foods cultivated here. It comes from the whole planet. And when you get it mixed in, you get a better nutritionally sound dish. I'm gonna walk over here and let you out. Just talking to my son right quick. And Brother Sebi was a brother who, as he let you know, coming from the forest. A lot of our brothers and sisters coming from different. Yeah, that's what your uncle wanted. Just with that, shredded, I guess. Yeah, yeah. And then let me let this car off and open this window. Okay. Yeah, go out that way. The car was in an accident. Y'all saw the video. Lady messed the door up. And y'all got enough water and stuff at the house already, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Dr. Sebi was a person who was taught by his mother ancestral indigenous health knowledge, who she pointed to different herbs. She was teaching him what heals the body. And upon, guy, you gonna turn that horn off, guy? You see where the car is. Stop playing. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get his tribute. And I don't really want to go back and edit. I like real life conversation. So he, at some point earlier in life, left Honduras and came here to Los Estados Unidos, to the United States. Started eating the standard American diet, and like a lot of our brothers and sisters and Europeans coming from Europe, because even in Europe, Europeans come here and they just get fat and sick. And they were like, wow, how is this happening? Because the food tastes great. It's genetically modified and chemically modified to taste great. the right amount of sugar, the right amount of fat, the right amount of salt. Scientifically engineered to make it very delectable and make it to where you have to just keep eating more and more and more. So a lot of people start getting sick. They started having skin and losing hair. Probably they grow gray faster. But most people notice they get obese extremely fast and lose their energy. He was like that, I believe, in his 30s. And he was eating himself to death like a lot of people do here. He went to some event or some lecture and he met a Mexican man who told him, "Stop it. You're eating yourself to death." That, for him, was his epiphany. This is his day of enlightenment that connected him back to what his mother was trying to teach him his whole life. Because, of course, he was like, what? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And even though he knew and was knowledgeable about chemistry, and he was an engineer, self-taught, he began to make a connection about what he was putting in his mouth to the connection of things he was doing in his industry in engineering, which a lot of people do. We got doctors that are sick. We've got people who, like myself, grew up in a trade like painting, where we put on chemicals, we put on solutions and toppings on many different types of surfaces. And through that, we don't always think about we are working with chemistry. People who work in the kitchen as cooks are working with chemistry. So he made that connection. And he started looking at natural foods being foods that are free of starch. That was the first time I heard somebody speaking on this particular part in terms of starch foods. Basically, he started looking at ancestral foods coming from their, and I'm talking about non-hybridized foods. Because, of course, if you got different types of beings, over time, humans have mixed different types of beings together to get a third being, and now you've got these beings that really didn't exist in nature. Even though we're still talking about natural foods, it is possible to have beans and even rices, seeding grasses, like different herbs. Like when people talk about if you're going to eat wheat or you're going to eat an ancient grain like sorghum or kamut and things like that. And for me, it was a different type of awakening because I was already studying health, but I like that scientific hypothesis. The people's bodies are too acidic, is what he noticed. From things he noticed in chemistry, the human body is supposed to stay alkaline. Now, there are certain body parts that are a little bit more acidic than the rest, but yet and still the entire body is slightly, and when I say slightly, that means it's not exactly 7 for those who know. 1 is the most acidic, 14 is the most base or alkaline. Your body's not exactly 7 in the middle, which would be neutral. It's slightly like 7.6 or something like that, going to the alkaline side. And I got to thinking about it, and a lot of it made sense. And he started speaking about things like acidic ash. When you imagine burning trash and things like that, what is left is ash, and it's acidic. People who know in nature, who know anything about, so even just basic natural country boy chemistry, how you make lye. You make lye by taking a tree trunk, and of course, at the advent of when people started having barrels, big metal barrels, you can burn out a tree, the trunk of a tree, and what is left with all of that ash, fill it up with water, and that paste eventually will become acidic. You know, you can make lye that way. You know what I'm saying? For tanning, leather, or, you know, and different things like that. Whatever you might need this acidic paste for. But when I started thinking about that, because I knew about certain things like that, making natural lyes in nature and stuff like that with different, you know, different ways. And that's just one way that I can think of. And I started thinking about that does make sense in your body. That stuff, that waste that's left over, if most of the things that you eat are acidic, that ash that's left behind is acidic also. So when you eat that apple, that whole 100% apple, natural, organic apple, you're not left with something that's so acidic that the body can't handle. It knows exactly how to process it. It takes out every single nutrient, the water included. And you know, apples have that white part, which is a type of fiber, but it's water soluble fiber, and the skin itself is non-water soluble fiber, which is that part of the that helps you to clean out your insides as it's going down. So it's just that little skin. It's the only part that's fibers with that particular fruit, but and yet and still it is fiber, dietary fiber, undigestible. You know, is what we're talking about in terms of fiber. But your body can deal with it. It's not acidic. Whereas you're talking about hot dogs and the bread along with it, you're eating a nitrated concoction of all the types of meats that are old and can't be sold, smashed together in this with this little skin to make a sausage or a hot dog. Then you put like some fake, like some sugared up tomato paste. It's called ketchup. And then you got mustard seed with sugar, milk, and all this other stuff. Sometimes eggs or something in it. And this type of white bleached so-called bread. You're eating this hot dog. That, my friend, is going to beget a very acidic trash situation. That the body, because it never, and I love teaching this when I talk to my clients, people in my societies, this stuff really isn't that deep. It's deep, and nevertheless, when you really think about it, it's too logical. We really understand it. The human body on this planet has never seen these substances before. Therefore, it is not able to effectively deal with it. Period. That's really what's going on. We're eating things that never existed before. So the human body, which is made, so if you put a fuel into your car that it wasn't made for, and not even just that, wasn't even made for, didn't even exist during the time that a car was being made. So cars were made knowing what fuel it was going to be used for. When you make an electric appliance, you're making an appliance with the idea of electricity in mind. The human body evolved that same way. So now we putting cookies and Twinkies and things in it, and we want it to work optimally, and it's not happening. So going back to Dr. Sebi, he was one of those ones that had me thinking about acidity in the body. He and then others like Dr. Be Serious, and many others. But Dr. Sebi, I like that he was one of the main ones I heard talking about the hybridization of many different foods and knowing which ones are hybrid. Now, of course, this is still controversial because there's a lot of people that they don't really subscribe to that. But just like with all knowledge, it's not about trying to find that one guru. For me, I'm a scientist in my own right. I'm a researcher in my own right, and I take everything in what makes sense to me that I can use in my life, take it, and discard the rest. But you don't have to throw out everything because you don't agree with certain key things that people say. A lot of people didn't like Dr. Sebi because he was saying that he had a cure for AIDS. People just couldn't get that into their heads because of cognitive dissonance. They could not believe that, because that would mean that the United States federal corporation knows that there is a guy out here curing people of a disease that they say can't be cured. So of course I had to research this guy, and you're going to see it in the videos as he's explaining himself. He was a guy curing people of these different diseases, which, if you do your research, is illegal. It's against the law to say that you can cure any disease, because the way that the game is set up by law, the only thing that can cure a disease is a drug. And then when you really find out the business and science of law, how the semantics work, the only reason why that is the case is because companies control the names of different diseases, and they also control parts of your genetics. So the companies that control the name diabetes, see, a lot of people know, man, when I started finding this stuff out, my mind was, as well, I guess there's something new people do, boom, or poof, or boom. My mind exploded, like, wow, I had to study more. Because once I found out that the game that was being played on us was so deep, dude, it's not the fact that there are quacks out here saying they can cure things. It's illegal. See, they make you think there are laws against it to protect you from quackery, so-called quackery. But really, it's business law protecting people with patents on diseases. So you can't say you can cure diabetes because someone already owns the patent on the word disease, cure, and diabetes. So if you say you can come along and cure it, you can be pulled into jail because you are infringing upon the rights of the patent holder of that particular disease. And because they can control that disease, they are the ones who set up the premise, diagnosis, and what you can do to live with and treat and maintain that disease. Ain't that something? And here we thought that when a person puts out a bottle of herbs and say this will help cure this particular disease, and they make your ass take it off the shelf, and you can get sued and go to jail, you can get your whole YouTube account shut down for one video saying that you can cure something. And I had to find it out the hard way. And good thing my site isn't that big right now. But I put up something, I had to change the wording. I still can't monetize that particular video. But just because I had it worded a certain way, and this is something that you'll learn from Jehudi Maharaj's herbology course, you have to learn the semantics. You have to learn the kung fu and the jeet kune do of the words surrounding law as it connects to health and working within health as a light worker. You still are bound by law, the law of the land. Not to protect people, it's to keep that money for these big hospitals and doctors. Now, once again, there's a lot of doctors who really want to help people, but that's not what they learn what to do in med school. Now, I'm not going to make this video long about me. This is just so that I just wanted to give you, before you watch Dr. Sebi yourself, I just wanted to put out my 2 cents, as they say, and support the legacy by spreading the word to those who may not know who this brother is and was. And may his legacy live on forever. Those are just little tidbits, but you'll see yourself what he teaches, because he is going to be a lot more eloquent than me. I am just but a student. I'm a teacher in my own right, of course, but in the relationship where I just stand on the shoulders of giants, that's what makes me big. I can stand defiant teaching you a lot of things, because I have thousands of people who've gone before me who actually work in these different fields. So once again, this is Lorenzo McCoy. Just wanted to say, you know what I'm saying, heartfelt prayers to the family of brother Alfredo Bowman, aka Dr. Sebi. Que Dios te bendiga y que tu memoria viva para siempre. Paz.
The man known as Dr. Sebi claims to have found the cure for several life-threatening diseases, including AIDS. Too good to be true? Well, you be the judge. The lump in Myrtle Rick's left breast is gone.
I haven't had any symptoms or problems, anything.
Sabrina Peterson's son no longer disabled by sickle cell anemia.
He has a lot of energy. I have to make him rest.
Disease is cured by this man. His name is Dr. Sebi, but you won't find a medical degree hanging from his wall. Instead, a certificate of healing.
We have complex things with science, but if we go back to God and use the herbs as God said, then you can see how simple it is. Then
Dr. Sebi believes what ails you can be cured with natural alkaloid herbs and a vegetarian diet solely made up of what he calls electric foods, mushrooms, greens, and rye breads without starch.
Hippocrates established the principle of medical science by using herbs to cure diseases, then why the physician using the chemicals?
40 years ago, a doctor in Mexico cured Sebi of diabetes, asthma, and obesity with the very same herbs and diet he dispenses to all of his patients, whether they're suffering from lack of energy or full-blown AIDS.
That package is an intracellular chelation. I'm removing plaque from the system. I'm removing inflammation. That is the base for all disease.
And according to a medical affidavit provided by Dr. Sebi, it's working. It shows a patient diagnosed with HIV in November of 1993 was cured 2 months later. Thousands of patients worldwide swear by his methods and natural herbal medicines.
In the tiny village, Lisa sought guidance for body and soul from an herbal guru named Dr. Sebi.
Dr. Sebi, according to him, can cure anything. Everything from trying to lose weight to looking for a cure for AIDS. People go there with hopes and dreams that Dr. Sebi can somehow save them.
She had been through so many intense problems in her career and in her life and in her personal life that she didn't know where to turn. And this doctor, she said, had shown her how to really open up and cleanse all of the negativity out of her.
She told me she was suffering with alcoholism and that she was smoking excessively, cigarettes, drinking and smoking. She asked me, what do I need to do to stay on the side of peace? I said, fast, do what Jesus did. She said, what did Jesus do? He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights.
Midway through her 40-day ordeal, an obviously gaunt Lisa spoke with MTV News.
I've been polluting my body for 30 years. 40 days is not a long time to me to fast. 40 days represents overcoming death. It's the number of days that Jesus fasted for, and I kind of feel like I'm on a journey sometimes. Don't really know quite where I'm headed.
At the ending of the fasting, she came to me. I heard the door opening at 2 o'clock in the morning. She said, I completed my fast this morning. I said, what did you see? I saw God. She said, I'm going to make you famous. I said, how? Because I'm going to talk about you. Does everyone know you cure AIDS and cancer?
There's just a lot of people in the world who are suffering. They're sick. They're not happy. They're looking for answers. They don't know where to turn. Well, I know a man who's been curing AIDS since 1987. This guy has taught me a lot, and I need to share my knowledge, with the world.
I've been called many things, but I am known as Dr. Sebi, your brother. I have been called at some point Dr. Sebi, the forever changing traveler. This was done by you sisters
But in my life, it began with Mama Hay. That's my nickname, acquired from my grandmother that I was always with. My grandfather was a Haitian. My grandmother from Belize. But these two hooked up nice because all they talked about was Africa. Africa, Africa, Africa. I grew up listening to Africa, about Africa. And I learned to like Africa. And I remember my first time to Africa was in 1956. I was happy to go to Johannesburg, to South Africa, not Johannesburg, but to Cape Town. I was happy because Africa is the geography of our genesis. But over the years, all I could hear about Africa from the people in New Orleans and round and about these Africans. Now that 52 or 60 years have gone by, I no longer hear this African. I hear this African descendant. I don't know who is an African descendant. I am an African or not? What is it? I am an African. My DNA is not an African descendant. It's African. But because philosophy seemed to have risen to a height that eclipsed all that which is natural, Africa representing the natural doesn't look too encouraging. It doesn't look palatable, doesn't taste right. Because when I see it, these brothers are jumping around without no clothes on. Yep, they're running around without any clothes. But if you carelessly misinterpret that, you will find yourself at a deficit. You see the body breathe through the skin, not only the nostrils. When you take your clothes off, you immediately relax. It doesn't cost any money. But I am subjected to the philosophy of the existing times. I was told that I was a sinner and a savage, and that I dance in fire. All this was said about me. And I am listening to all of this all through my life. And do you know that I have never heard anyone in the field of anthropology, archaeology, paleontology, that really describes the African the way he should be described, but a Mexican? A Mexican is going to talk about Africa the way that I have never heard. So I grew up with this Africanness in me, not able to put it in any perspective because everybody is anti-Africa. It was about Herodotus and Pliny. It was about philosophy. And Africa didn't have a philosophy. What do you mean? They cannot compete. Compete in what? And why they needed a philosophy. So I grew up hoping that one day I would be able to see beyond the negative. And boy, did that day come. That day came. It came in the form of a dream. And I began to pay attention. Remember when they said to us, honor thy mother and thy father? Well, where did our mother and father came from? The jungles of Africa. But what did they say about the jungles? It's nasty. It's dangerous. But in reality, it is clean. It is alkali. It is electrical. So yes, I have turned my eyes on Africa and I have learned a lot and still learning. Today, Dr. Sebi was invited with some of the presidents and secretary to the president of Guinea to come and heal him and others. Why should I go to Africa to heal someone that represent the genesis of our beginning? Oh, it's easy to understand that. It isn't that the African is handicapped or that he doesn't have the science or the way to get to from A to B. He never had to do it. You see, Africa was never sick. Africa became sick in the last 500 years. Prior to 500 years, Africa didn't have any vaccine. Africa didn't have any Ebola. Africa didn't have any AIDS, and Africa didn't have any protein. Today, my home is sick. Africa is sick. Is it my duty to stand by, sit by, and see that a lot of things is being offered to the continent that I know affects the biology of the people, eventually weakening the fiber of the country? Africa is sick, but yet they are pumping them up with vaccines, with all kind of serums and proteins. They are selling Africa shiploads of chicken, shiploads of pork meat, and cancer is being found in Congo at age 8, something never before heard of. Sebi, I am not the most important person in the arrangement of the black world. I am the least of the important person in the black world. All I am is a servant, you know. So what does he want? How should we even position this individual that claimed that he could do all of this? I am a son of Africa. You cannot deny that of me. And am I not responsible for contributing to the welfare of Africa? Not only of the black men in Africa, of the Caribbean and American, all over the world, and every race that exists. So, but self-preservation is the first law. So naturally, it is incumbent upon us to touch mama, to heal Mama. Right now, she's sick. So, I went to South Africa under the leadership of the most humble and distinguished Sir, Mr. Nelson Mandela. Well, they looked at me like I was lesser than. After showing them documents, diagnostic sheets, HIV positive, HIV negative, I showed that to the Board of Health of South Africa. And AIDS is running rampant in South Africa. And you mean to tell me that the government of Mr. Nelson Mandela, that is so revered and all over the world as being a great liberator of peace, find it necessary to reject what Dr. Sebi had to say? Well, you could investigate it yourself. They kicked me out. Get out! Thanks. Me, I do stupid things. Oh yeah, many, many, many times. I do stupid things. I picked up my $35,000 and went to Zimbabwe under the leadership of Mr. Robert Mugabe. Hey fellas, look what I could do. And while I was there were children that were never supposed to walk was walking and playing ball. Women that had diabetes no longer had diabetes. Get out! Wow. Hey, what's going on with me? Something wrong with me. It's not Mugabe, it's not Zimbabwe. Something is wrong with me. They keep kicking me out. Then they kicked me out of Dominica. They said, nigga, get out. Wow. So, you know, after they done that to you quite a few times, you begin to take inventory of yourself. Oh my God, what's wrong with Sebi? So today, Africa still is my responsibility because I know that the compounds that Europe is selling to Africa is not helping in any form, shape, or fashion because they are inorganic chemicals. And if there is a biochemist or a nutritionist that could prove to us that all these vaccines has a place in the African biology, please come forth and show us. Because 500 years prior into millions of years, we were not vaccinated then. Why now? Why now? Yes, I take the responsibility for reconstructing the genetical predisposition of Africa, or the genetical condition, not the predisposition, but the condition. Why? It has been what? Interfered with. Why not? I am the son of Africa. I have tried many times and they kicked me out. But President Kikwete, yes, I love you, my brother. You showed love for Dr. Sebi from Tanzania. And I will be coming to Tanzania soon, my president, because I would like to do something in East Africa. Africa is where you find some of the best herbs in the world. We could set up laboratories in Africa, processing plant, and supply ourselves with that, and we would be healthier people. Because in the short time that I was in Zimbabwe and in where else I were? In Guinea. Oh yes, I forgot. Guinea. Oh my God. Last but not least, I can't forget you, Guinea. You treated me under the leadership of Lansana Conti like I love to be treated as a brother. It was Lansana Sako that took us there because he was sick. And you treated me royally. And I always remember you, Guinea. I remember going to Fulamori. And I promised that I would return to Fulamori and develop a healing center because the thermal waters in Fulamori has minerals that has never been recorded. And I was so healthy when I was there. So yes, Guinea, Conakry, I want to be part of you also because I am already your brother. So yes, Guinea and Tanzania, West Africa and East Africa showed love for Dr. Sebi. And it is my greatest desire, it would be the joy of my life to be given the privilege to exercise the African biomineral balance on the continent of Africa. Why? Because here we have shown by using the African biomineral balance to reverse AIDS and all the other diseases. Why? It is organic. It is electrical. It resonates with us. It is ours. It is from our culture. Africa, yes, I'm indebted to you. Yes, you are my mother, and I love you. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I want to thank you for being so humble and nice, considerate to come out here and listen to what I have to say. But what I have to say is mine. It was never mine. It's ours. I never believed that I would find myself in front of an audience having to talk about a subject that we all once knew. A subject that is as old as creation. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, we have to just take a look at the zoo. The zookeeper doesn't feed the gorilla the food of the polar bear. Am I right? So how come we eat the food of everybody? We'll begin this lecture by letting you know, first of all, I'm your brother. No more, no less than you. I can't be smarter than you. That's impossible. We have the same amount of brain cells. So how was I privileged to be navigated to this information? I don't know. I don't even question myself. I just like to live. I was 12 years of age. I was Seventh-day Adventist. Corby Brown. We left that afternoon from the church. It was the 13th Sabbath. I said, Kirby, how did you like the lecture? I didn't. I said, why you didn't, Kirby? Because they talk about Solomon. I want money. I said, Kirby, but when you have wisdom, you have everything. Well, I don't know what wisdom is now, nor then. But I knew that money was not my pursuit. Kirby said, I want money. We were 12 years of age.
1945. I'm 73 years of age now. In 1994, a young man by the name of Tom Flowers came to me and said, "Guess who is coming tomorrow?" I said, "Who?" "Kirby Brown." I said, "Well, if I remember correctly, Kirby said when we were 12 that he wanted money. I hope he made millions of dollars." I don't have any millions. I don't even have $1,000. But you don't. But that's okay. I live. I found that avenue, or it was shown to me how to live. Not to read books, because everybody reads books, but yet society is deteriorating more every day. Everybody reads books. The brother called the other day on the radio and said that he asked about corn, right? Corn? He read books. He said that the text, the Kemetic text showed him that corn is good. Well, he better examine his text, because corn was made by man. But anyway, Kirby said he wanted money. That was a Thursday. Tom Flowers said, "Kirby is coming tomorrow." So I said, well, if Kirby didn't make his millions, I'm going to remind him that we are alive. We are alive. Kirby didn't arrive. Kirby would never arrive. They had to take axe to chop the hotel door down. Kirby died of a heart attack. Kirby weighed 390 pounds. Kirby wanted money. He became a cab driver in New York. I didn't want any money. I didn't want it then or now, because it's not important in your life. It was never important in our lives. The Maya shows that. The Maya built pyramids. The Maya lived for millions of years in the jungles of Central America. No money. The Africans? How long did we live in Africa without money? Since creation. Now they tell us we need money to fight AIDS. Brothers and sisters, we are at a deficit, a tremendous deficit, a deficit that if we do not pay attention, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, because I remain that obedient boy that just lost his mama 4 days ago. I listen. I listen. But to listen, you can't have a philosophy in your head. If you have a philosophy in your head, you cannot listen to anyone. I was there. I was a Seventh-day Adventist. I listened to no one but those things that came from the church. Well, if I was to listen to the church today, the Seventh-day Adventists, I'd be eating tofu. I'll be sick. You see? I'll be eating tofu. I really had been able to cure AIDS because they don't cure AIDS. The age of the philosophers of Europe, I would have never been able to find the answer to the cure. But tonight, I'm going to share with you the African wisdom, the African dream, the African genesis, the African essence, something that was never taught to us in the schools. Why should we expect the school to teach us something that would enhance our growth and save our lives? Why should the school teach you that? When in history has there ever been examples to show that one race of people is indebted to another? That has never been. Then you tell me that the white man is a bigot. The white man was never a bigot. He was never a discriminator. The white man is a person that obeys the first law of nature. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. So the white man, whenever he proceeds to preserve his race, and we sit back and say he's a bigot, it's only because we have lost it and we don't even know how to get ourselves out of this mess. I'm one of them. I'm you standing here. But one day, it was to be that your brother would be shown something that would change the profile of things. I left my country, where I was born then. In 1953 to New Orleans, I became a merchant seaman. I was 20 years of age. As a merchant seaman, I became an engineer 5 years later. I'm a steam engineer. Don't ask me how I did that, because that's going to baffle you, because I've never been to school, and I don't read books. I don't read books now, nobody's book. I'm not even going to read my own. Because all the book readers come to me asking me, how did you cure AIDS? But that's like asking the gorilla, hey man, how come you keep yourself healthy without us? How come you don't have any medicines? We'll begin. I became a merchant seaman, right quick, to take you through my life. Left Honduras without going to school, became a merchant seaman, became an engineer, worked for the County of Los Angeles as an engineer. While as an engineer, the County of Los Angeles, something is to happen. Something is to change my life completely. First, it was a Mexican. The Mexican said to me, you're dying. I said, I know. How do you know? Because I fell out going to the bathroom a Sunday afternoon, and I didn't reach the bathroom. I got up off the floor. Something must have happened between there and the bathroom. But I had gone to the neurologist, the endocrinologist, the GER practitioner in Russia, in England, in Germany, in France, United States. And they were people that knows what it is about. They had the great big books on medical science. But my asthma and my diabetes, my impotence was kicking. What happened to the books? They read books. All the physicians that treated this boy read books of all kinds. Nothing happened. I goes to Mexico, and the Mexican have a goat in his house. Every 5 words it was bad, bad. And I'm looking around. The Mexican said, the goat bothering you? I said, no. You're dying because you are disobedient. Then he brought the Holy Bible. Honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long upon the land. That's in the Bible, isn't it? But how could we honor our mother and our fathers when we don't even know what they were about? You don't tell that to an elephant, to honor his mother, because when he's born, he follows his mother and watch what his mother eats. Do you and I know what our mothers ate in Africa? We don't know, yet we dialogue. We dialogue on this level of intelligence because I know Plato, I know Aristotle, I know all about Diogenes, but you don't know what your mama ate. So everything that you talk about means absolutely nothing. So you see where they have us at a deficit? That's why we need each other's. Now, when I became an engineer, the Mexican said, stop eating. Don't eat anything. For how long? 3 months. I said, are you crazy? He said, no, you nuts. You ask me if I'm crazy. You've been eating garbage for 30 years you've been eating garbage, and I'm going to remove the garbage for 90 days, and you ask me if I'm crazy. What was I eating? Hog maws, chitlin, neck bones, crackling bread, lawn in New Orleans. Eggs, because the grown-ups told me when my penis wasn't getting hard, eat eggs, drink raw eggs. And I did, by the dozens. And nothing happened. The Mexicans said, don't worry about it, don't eat. 90 days later, I was no longer impotent, no longer diabetic, no longer asthmatic, no longer with glasses on my eyes, and this stomach hair was 42. What happened to the science that the physicians were using, medical science? It didn't work, isn't it? But it worked with me. The herbs work with me. This Bible says, in the book of Revelation, it says 22 verse, and the first chapter, it talks about the herbs for medicine. Am I right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what could have happened to us that when my brother, who's a preacher for 30 years, was sick, and instead of going to God's medicine, he went to the physician to get a chemical in his arm. My brother died 21 years ago. I'm not a preacher. I would never be a preacher. I told that to my mother. She wanted me to be the preacher. I said, no, 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 no. That would be the last thing that I would consider. She said, why? I said, because I want to live truth. Even if it kills me, I'm going to live truth. And truth is, the Bible says that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. But the preacher, when he gets sick, he will get a chemical. What is the message he's sending to God? Come on, just be fruitful. Let us be truthful today. If never again in our life, let us be that today. Why do we go to see the doctor to give us a chemical when the Bible says the herbs are for the healing? Why do we go? Well, you're going to soon find out. That's what affected me then, and probably affecting me now, to a great degree, more than I would ever realize. Because remember, I want to go to the blackboard. Roughly speaking, Africa. Way overhead, we put America. They are 4,500 miles. What happened between here and here? A lot happened. You see, when we were here, without the mathematics, without the ABC, without the sciences, when we were here, we had something to our advantage that we no longer have here. We are blind here. Here we weren't. We were seeing. Why? Because God provided us with everything we needed here. And none of it was comfrey or rice and beans. There were no tofu. There were no soy there. There were no cows. And there were no hogs, no chicken. There were no flour. Those things didn't come from Africa. You see rice and beans and flour and cheese and meat and the starch that you eat, they all came from right here, from a laboratory. Now, for us to eat, you have to have in your big skull the understanding of biochemistry. But when we were here, we didn't have to know anything about biochemistry. Why? Because God doesn't make poisons. You see, God doesn't make carrots. Well, let me put it here. Stop the garbage. Anytime Someone tells you that tofu is good for you, that someone that just gave that information to you has one eye open. But he's confident that when he tells you to eat carrots and you drink it, you have both closed. So a one-eyed man is king where everybody's blind. But the one that recommends the tofu is only half seeing. He's blind. He got one eye open only. But he doesn't know it. Example. Before we get into the real lecture, pull this out. This is how people take privileges on us. They don't care about us. They bring us information that, oh God, that's why the rest of the world laugh at us. Because they know that we have both eyes closed. Here it is. Moringa. Moringa has 23 times the iron in spinach. Spinach has iron? No, because spinach, let me take my time because there's a whole lot of information. I don't want to jog it up. Anything that has a pH of 7 plus is alkali. Anything that has less, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is acid. Spinach. Acid. Why compare moringa with spinach? When spinach has a starch base, it has no iron. 7 times the calcium in milk. Milk has calcium. Well, I stopped drinking milk 42 years ago, and I could fall on my knees. You drink milk with moringa, because they said to mix it with milk and some pages here, you're not going to fall on your knees at 73. You're going to leave your knees down there. 11 times vitamin A that you find in carrots. Carrots has vitamin A. Carrots belongs on the acid side of life. So right there, and they said it to mix with carrot juice. Why would they do that? Then up here, they talk about the Ayurvedic system of medicine recommends moringa. The Ayurvedic is Indian. The Ayurvedic system of medicine recommends cow milk. The Ayurvedic system of medicine has never cured any disease, nor moringa, nor any other system in the world. You know what this is like? When Steven Seagal tells me to come to his house because he had a headache for 5 years. Well, I knew why the headache was in his head. It was removed in less than 10 minutes. He had the bottle and said, this bottle is powerful. I said, yeah, powerful, huh? He said, yeah, the headache is gone. You know, he's a Dalai Lama, right? He wanted me to go to Kathmandu. Kathmandu? I'm going to go to Kathmandu. To do what? Talk to lamas. Lamas for what? What am I going to talk to lamas for? They couldn't cure your headache that you had for 5 years. The lamas need to come and see me, not me, the lama. But since we were compromised, we left all our food in Africa. You and I don't even know what we ate in Africa. So don't even go there. But we have the opportunity because one of your brothers happened not to go to school and look outside of the paradigm of school and found something altogether different. And what did I find? That anything that God made is on the alkali side. Why? The molecular structure is complete. It was made by nature, not man. Anything that God made has no starch. That's another thing. Anything that nature makes has no starch. Anything that man made has to have starch, because starch is a binder. To titrate two unequal chemicals, you have to use a starch. Starch is not a food. Starch is a chemical. And what have we been eating since they took us away from Africa? Starch and blood. Starch and blood. We didn't need blood in Africa. Gorilla doesn't need blood. He eats leaves and berries. But gorillas are sane. They listen to each other, and they have a society well put together. Well, Sebi, when he became the engineer, and he found out that the pH value of things had a lot to do with healing and the properties that's to be used, I was happy. I used to run home. Guess what I found? I found that the herb that everybody's talking about is acid, and everybody's using it. What herb is that? Comfrey. She said, what? I said, yes, it's on the acid side. And so is rose hips, enchirecia. What about golden seal? That's right, golden seal was made. It's like the stick that you put in your mouth. They call what? What they call it? The chew stick. What they call it? Liquid stick. Everybody have liquid stick in the mouth, right? But liquid stick was made. It has 50 times more sugar than does sugar itself. It has glycerinic acid. You see, we didn't have to study biochemistry in Africa, because everything we had there was on the alkali side, so we could eat anything. But when they brought us here, you know, put some clothes on now. And after they put the clothes on you, come here, boy. You got to get in front of this classroom. You have to learn this ABC stuff. But hold it now. Gorillas doesn't take their cubs to be trained by polar bears. Gorillas train her own cubs. The gorilla way. But no, you and I, our parents couldn't do better. They had to take us to the school because they wanted to save us, you know, protect us, because that's mother. Mother doesn't want child to suffer. So mother was shown that if child didn't go to school, they'd be illiterate, and the society is made up where you must go to school if you want to buy a Mercedes. But in our society, school, what you mean by school? We don't have such animal. We build things. And those who've been to school can't even build the pyramids today. Not in Honduras, not to mention the pyramids in Mexico. They're 4 times the size of the pyramids in Egypt. Oh yes. I know Ben joking, I didn't talk about that. But that's okay. Because he need help like I need help. We all need help. So the school that we thought was going to be so equitable, so useful, has become a deterrent. Because those that have been to school doesn't cure anything. How did I learn and I didn't go to school? Easy. You know, we baby-aged kids, we don't die. Right? We do it. I'm not wiser than you. I may be more mischievous than you. I know that, because I do some mischievousness that you would not believe. But anyway, as an engineer, I went to work one night, and I began to test herbs. And I began to see that all the herbs that you guys are using are acid, every single last one of them, except for burdock, yellow dock. They're natural herbs. the other one, which is the red clover, that's a natural herb. You know, they're alkali, they're very good. So I begin by compounding herb from all over the world. And lo and behold, a blind man was killed named Mr. Fredericks. Then the Japanese, Fred Takashita's wife, was killed of endometriosis. She had a baby. She was never supposed to have a baby. It's a white lady from Utah. My boss brought his daughter and his brother with ulcers. They were cured. The boss came to me one afternoon and said, "So you're going to leave me?" I said, "Yep." He said, "You're going to leave me? On your resume, you said that you didn't go to school. And the only reason why I hired you is that I was curious to find out how could a man have an engineer license, never been to school. I wanted you to fail. But instead, you did something that is extraordinary. Are all black people like you?" I say, "Brett Howell," his name is Brett Howell. "Are all black people like me?" I say, "I'm the dumbest." "Yes, they're all like me and more powerful than me." "But how come they're not doing what you're doing? You killed the blind man. You killed my daughter's ulcers. Could they do that?" I said, "They could do it better than me. But why aren't they doing it? Because they're afraid of you. I'm not afraid of God. I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm not afraid of anything, especially you. Because I don't live in fear." So I say, "Brett Howell, the black man of America is afraid of you white people because you guys made him afraid of you. And you should not feel good about that. It's not about me hating white people, loving black or hating black. It's about understanding. Nobody's going to help us but us. Nobody in this world, whether white, black, Chinese, or Arab, could help us. It's impossible for them to help us. Why? Because they don't know us. They don't have our genetic predisposition. Look, as a Christian, I used to eat pork. Of course I eat pork, and I love it. But as a Muslim, I eat lamb, which is 10 times worse than pork. So what do I do? Who do I turn to? So after I quit my job, the boss said, "Wait just a minute, because I think you're crazy. You're leaving your job as a steam engineer in 1980, when herbs in 1980, I'm making $2,900 a month. I'm going to leave my job with 10 years seniority to come after some herb that you didn't like." Why did I do this? I had to do it. It wasn't that I could see that far. I can't see beyond my nose. Talk about years ahead. But I had to quit my job. And I had to question myself, why am I doing this? But I did. And 1980, the boss is looking at TV, 1987, on the 10th day of February, and he see CNN, Alfredo Bowman, a.k.a. Dr. Sebi, is arrested for practicing medicine without a license, selling product not approved by the FDA, and claiming to cure AIDS and other diseases, which is a fraudulent claim. The boss saw that. The boss' wife is in the bathroom because he told me the story himself. He called her out, "Come and see the man that's arrested. If he says he cure AIDS, I know he cure AIDS," because Brett Howard knew that I would never compromise myself to a lie. When I talk, I know what I said is not true, but I also know that in America, you could also be dead right. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I'm 73 already. They killed me tomorrow, is all over with. I rather reach 73. My brother, who was a preacher, he only got to 50. But I stuck with you, the black woman. That was my success. You, the black woman. I always kept my eyes on you. Nobody else, not the maid, because I'm one. We don't do nothing. We can't do anything. We need you. Because it is you that held our hand. It is you that breastfed us. My mother breastfed me for only 4 years. But that was sufficient. In 1962, two statements was made in a barbershop. 1640 Claiborne Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana. Timothy Barbershop. Tim Barbershop. Ernest Moriel walked in there when he was a lawyer. And every time Ernest came in the barbershop, we used to jump on Moriel. I mean, we used to kick him around the place. Moriel said, "You see you niggas? One day, I'm going to become mayor. And I'm going to remember you, Alfredo." That's me. The big mouth. I'm going to have you in jail. Ernest became the mayor of New Orleans. I was in Los Angeles, and the most hurting thing in my life was when I heard that Moriel had passed with asthma, a disease that I used to suffer with, that I was cured of in Mexico, and that I have addressed so many times. Moriel died. Ernest Moriel. Then another statement was made by me in that same barbershop. I said that I would give the black woman a gift. Brother said, Logan said, "Sapphire?" I said, "Yes, Sapphire, your mama." I said, "She was the first, you came out of her. She held your hand. She teach you everything about the basic things of life, and then she cut you loose. Now she worth nothing. She's Sapphire. I'm going to give her a gift." 1962, that statement was made. But 1962, I was sick. I had asthma, I had diabetes, I was impotent, I had everything under the sun. But in 1964, I was cured, and years went by. Then I found out this is the gift to the black woman. The healing that I found is in your hands now, black woman. Yes, it's in your hands. So in 1987, I was arrested. And while I was in jail, I was the happiest man in the world. Because when I was 40 years of age, I was going to work, and I passed by Miss Louise Wright's house on my right, and I made a statement: "I'm going to help humanity." And here it is. 1987 is the showdown. I was arrested. All of the people in New York that were healers, I don't need to call their name. They say, "Yeah." They got the big mouth. They were angry with me because I put an ad in the Village Voice and the Amsterdam News and the New York Post. AIDS has been cured by the USHA Research Institute. And we specialize in cures for leukemia, sickle cell, impotent, blindness, cancer, and others. Well, after all, I did it. Shouldn't I advertise it? You should be glad your brother's doing that. Because now you have a chance to share in the bounty, right? That's the way I felt. So I'm in jail and I'm wondering, how is the American Medical Association going to escape from this one? You see, in the past, herbalists, when they talk, shh, gotta be quiet. Gotta talk under the table, because the physician may get you. The FDA gonna get you. But we seem to forget the one basic thing. When they remove us from Africa, did they bring our food with us? Did they? Well, how could the FDA have such kind of power over us now? Come on now, just wake up to it. So I stood in jail thinking, how am I going to do this one? This is going to be a heavy number, but it's nice because I wanted this moment. I wasn't going to back down. What you mean, back down? I'm representing some black woman. I never had a father. I never had a man in my confines to tell me something. No, I never had a stepdaddy. I had a woman, and then another woman, my grandmother. My great-great-grandmother lived to 124. Her name was Elizabeth, and she lived 70 years without a man. My great-grandmother lived 112. She lived 68 years without a man. My grandmother died at 100, and she lived 50 years without a man. My mother died 5 days ago, and she racked up 40. My mother died while I was coming to see you. I didn't turn back. You know why? The relationship with me and my mother was one of love, and she would have never wanted me to be there. My brother told my mother when I was about 10 years ago, he told her, yeah, you didn't like me. You didn't give me any love. You didn't give Fred any love either. That's me. So my mother said, what you say? You gave all your love to the pastor, not to Fred and me. My mother said, like, Fred, are you in on that? I said, ma'am, this boy was talking garbage. See, he told me he's serious. I'm never serious. I don't know what it is to be serious. I hear men talk about seriousness. Well, I don't know what you do with that. But my mama said, raise your hand up and open your fingers. Which finger would you elect to take off of your hand? I said, none. She said, thank you. My mother turned to my brother and said, you said that I didn't give Fred any love. Fred, you wanted my love? I said, nope. Didn't want it. I didn't need it. Because my mother knew if my mother ever interfered in my life, I would be upset. I was in the streets by the river all the time. My mother knows, all mother knows the child that need her love, her attention. But she love all. But she knows the one that need the attention. I didn't want my mother attention. And she knew it. But my brother said that she didn't give him any. But the boy went to the 3rd grade. He owns a fishing fleet. He owns an ice factory. And he owns a... That she didn't give him any. But the boy went to the 3rd grade. He owns a fishing fleet. He owns an ice factory. And he owns a fleet of planes. And he said that his mother didn't give him love. You see how we could easily make mistakes? Okay. Mother is mother and will always be mothers. The greatest gender on the planet. So while I'm going to court now, and I'm standing, the judge said, get the man out of jail, and I went to his chambers. Judge Shorter said, young man, you mind if I ask you a question? I said, no, sir. Why did you advertise that you cure AIDS? Well, sir, my mother's alive, Africa exists, and my face, and I would never offend any of the three. That's why I advertise that I cure AIDS. He turned to the woman at the desk and said to her, ask her, did you investigate this man before you arrest him? She said, no. Her name was Phyllis Spade from the Attorney General office in New York. She said, no. You didn't investigate this man before you arrest him? This man, the response he gave me, he cured AIDS. But AIDS is the easiest thing to cure. People think that AIDS is difficult. To me, everything is easy, and to you it should be too. And I'm going to show you why it's so easy. So the judge said, well, you're out in bail. And that was February the 12th, I got out of the 13th. But the case doesn't begin until 88. September. I have a year and 8 months. Why the judge gave me so much time, I would never understand. So I waited. Trial date. This is where the showdown with black and white. Not better or worse. We are not better than any white man or Chinese, no. We just happen to be different. That difference has never been treated by any religion or philosophy. There is a difference that needs to be understood. So while I went into court, the judge said, well, Dr. Sebi, will you please begin? Where do I begin? Begin where you say you cure AIDS and the physicians say there's no cure. The physicians are 100% right. There is no cure for AIDS or any other disease. The judge said, just a minute. There's a contradiction here. The newspaper says that you cure AIDS. Then you agreeing with the physicians. That's a contradiction. No, it's not. When you're limited, it is. But when you live out the box, it isn't. She said, help me. She said, of course. The physician take the position that there is no cure for AIDS or any other disease, and the physician are 100% right, according to their philosophy and their perspective. Their medicine didn't show them a cure. So how could they say that there is a cure? But the perspective that prepared me, there is cure for AIDS and every other disease. Oh my God, when I said that, the physician jumped up. Your Honor, Dr. Victor Herbert said, Your Honor, what other perspective could there be? After all, you know, this patent on us, the FDA has a patent on us. You cannot talk. The FDA talk, you shut up. Oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna find out. So, the judge said, what perspective is yours? Dr. Victor Herbert, Dr. Bonanno, and Dr. Christopher said, how could there be another? I said, there is another, Your Honor. And what is the other? The African bioelectric cell phone. I've never heard of such a thing. That's what the physician said. He had never heard of the African bioelectric cell phone. I said, of course. But we have to remind the good physician that he have not heard of a whole lot of other things. But that doesn't deny the existence of the African biomineral electric cell phone. What is it? Okay. The allopathic claim that there are multiple diseases. The African biomineral balance negate that position. There's only one disease, never been two. The allopathic claim that to treat the multiple disease you must use a chemical, which is violating God. Right? The African biobalance said no. It's a nutritional approach, electric food. Your Honor, I told you that this man was insane and unscientific. He said there's only one disease, but there's only one. Remember, I'm the boy that didn't go to school. I'm going to break things down to the least common denominator. When I was a steam engineer, I found out that in a machine, thermodynamics I'm talking about, or an automobile, the only thing that could cause this machine to go bad is what? Short circuit, obstruction, overheating. The same thing with the human body. So what did I do? I put compounds together that would cleanse the human body of what? Of mucus. In so doing, AIDS, sickle cell, lupus, herpes, blindness. But it sounds too simple, right? Well, that's not my fault. They have complex things, and then they deal with the complexity. And boy, that's a job. But with us, on our journey from Africa to America, it was easy because the slave master had a ship and brought us over. But getting back to Africa, we get confounded. We can't go back now. We don't know how to go back. We better not even go back. Because when I tried to go back, this is what I did. My first trip with a passport was to Kenya. So I went to Kenya and they said, where your passport? I said, I have no passport. I said, I was taken away 500 years ago. I'm back. When I left, I didn't have any passport. So why are you asking for a passport now? Is a passport African? Put it one side. they put me one side and send me back out. But you think that was bad? That wasn't bad. Wait. May I have that? I go to Africa. I go with my wife, and I said, well, boy, I'm happy. Girl, we're going to liberate Africa. We're going to do something for mother country. I go and I saw Dr. Parinyatwa in Zimbabwe. I said, Dr. Parinyatwa, I think your problems are over with. Not only Zimbabwe, all of Africa. Here is Hospital Vicente di Antoni, is an Italian hospital. Department of Blood and Laboratories. Oswald Zavala, HIV positive on the 25th of November of 1993. 17th of January of 1994, HIV negative. This boy named Alfredo Lagos, this from the Red Cross, the Honduran Red Cross. It says here that this boy, it doesn't show any date of which he contracted AIDS. Why? Because he was born with AIDS. But down here it says he's negative on the 19th day of January of 1995. Another one. This one caused a laboratory to call for me. I thought it was funny. This is the next one, the other one. His name is Alex Suarez. On the second day of January, this boy of August, he found himself with HIV positive. On the 19th day of August of the same year, 17 days later, the boy is no longer HIV positive. So they called me for what? I don't know. Because I know they're not going to change it. Now, this one you're going to like. This one is from the San Diego Public Health Laboratories. It says here that this man has a HIV-1 RNA 26,205. The boy was supposed to be dead at 25, right? Just go to the other page. 6 months later, he's less than 400. He was killed at 15. So anybody want to read it? Because I could be lying, because that's the way we think. But here it is. No, that's possible. I could be lying. Here, young lady. So, curing AIDS, brother and sister, look, that's the easiest thing for niggas to do. We could do more than that. Curing AIDS, to them is big thing. To us, it's nothing. You understand? But now, here is where this little carpet comes in. Where did I put it? The blood, nope, no good. Here it is. Blood and starch. Blood and starch. Blood and starch is going to prevent you from doing what the ants does for each other. Ants, when it's getting ready to rain, you know what they do? All the black ants, they begin to do what? Cut the leaves and take them to their little nests. Ants doesn't eat leaves. They eat the mycelia that grows on the leaves with the temperature. They are farmers, but they provide when it rains. Red ants does the same. But we black people, we can't do that. Because when your brother showed the world that he cured AIDS, why didn't the African countries jump on it? All the African people eat is blood and starch. Nothing else. But that is the Africa that you and I dream about. The Africa that we want to save. The Africa that we all love. I found out that there is no president in Africa that is interested in the cure for AIDS. Not one. No, I'm sorry. Only one. I'm not going to name the country because I may jeopardize the country. Because the one thing I learned, that when you begin to talk favorable about a country or individual, they're going to soon get him. That is a fact. So I cannot talk about the country that said to Dr. Sebi, Dr. Sebi, whenever you want to return to Africa and begin this new empire, you have 5,000 acres of land and 6 hot springs. I don't need anything else. Hot springs? 5 hot springs with 5,000 acres of land? We could grow food. We could make the best dress. I said, sir, I am not going to come to your country unless I'm able to grow marijuana. He said, marijuana? He said, wait just a minute. He said, I can't do that. I said, well, the compounds I've been giving your nephew that was autistic, that now is talking, was marijuana. And as for you is concerned, when I came here, you weren't walking. You were dying. Now you're running up the steps in the presidency. Yes, marijuana. That's a God's product. That's not cigarettes. You see what happened? My brother used to smoke cigarettes, but my brother didn't know that the tobacco that he was smoking was artificial. God didn't make that. But marijuana, God did make that. So it must have been a good reason why I was told in school that everything God made is good. Well, I know that. I live that. And I always will smoke it for as long as I live. Why? Because I have that right. I have that right. It's not everybody that uses it, from autism to arthritis, is cured, because everything that God made is good. So as I go to Africa, all happy, I came back with my tail between my legs, because it ain't happening. It ain't gonna happen. They're not interested in that. But the one thing I noticed today and yesterday, and you may have heard it, President Clinton and Sanjay Gupta, they found the end of AIDS. How could they find the end of AIDS when they have not found the end of diabetes, the end for sickle cell, the end for any disease? But they're going to tell us that they're going to bypass these lesser diseases and jump on the major one, and they got the cure for it. I got documents to substantiate that I cure AIDS, right? So what's up? What's up? Well, I'm going to show you what's up. When I was in Zimbabwe, the Department of Health said, why do you come to us saying that you could help us? And your leaders in America didn't help you. My leaders in America? What do you mean by that? They mentioned Minister Farrakhan. I said, just a minute. I don't follow any man. I follow women. And I don't follow sick people. Because if I follow sick people, then I got to be sicker. I go to Brazil. They say, why don't you, if your leaders didn't help you, why should we? I say, my leaders, again, they brought these leaders in front of me. And they mentioned something like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. I say, oh God. I say, why you all ask me about these people? I never knew of Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or Oprah Winfrey promoting something that is equitable and good for the black community. That's never been. What they could do is march. That I know. But why do you ask me about it? I'm asking you, why can't you incorporate this in your repertoire? You said me, I have no leaders. My leader's my mama. The biggest testicles that anybody I've ever seen, they was on my mama. So don't ask me about leaders. I don't follow leaders. I never was part of that thinking. I don't need anyone to lead me someplace. So now I'm asking you, what do we do now? I cure AIDS. Are you going to call Oprah? You don't need to. She could advertise 1 million pieces, broken pieces, right? But that's fine. But she cannot advertise the cure for humanity. But there's one little dude that got himself in trouble. And he was totally unaware of what was going to happen. This little dude, I'm home with my wife, enjoying myself, a Sunday afternoon, looking at TV, somebody threw a rock on my window. It's Randy Jackson. What was it you want? My brother want to see you. Your brother? Michael? Okay. I went. Well, he's sick as hell. Well, I treated him, and he got cured. He saw it, and he was encouraged to take me to the Rayburn building on Capitol Hill. Oh, my God. This is going to really confound you. Michael Jackson took me to the Rayburn building on Capitol Hill on the 31st day of March? April. No, of March. March. It was March. 31st day of March of 2004. I said, why are you taking me there? Because you cure AIDS. I said, but what makes you think that they are interested in that? What makes you think that the world is interested? I don't care if it's any country in the world, they are not interested. Especially Africa. They were never interested. AIDS isn't killing Africa. Hepatitis C is killing Africa. All of West Africa is red line for hepatitis C. What you talking about? But they're Muslims. So they have to eat the Muslim food, which is goats and lamb. Go tell them that the Arabs pay food, which is goats and lamb. Go tell them that the Arabs played a trick on their brain. You cannot do that. Me, I remain the son of the jungle woman. The jungle woman that didn't have any clothes on. Yeah, I am her son. I stuck with her and she liberated me. You have to hear this. One morning, I woke up and I heard the music that was playing. You know how you turn your radio on and you're sleeping, but the music on the radio would influence you, and you dream that you're seeing the artist that's playing, right? You ever had that happen to you? This morning, I'm listening to John Coltrane. 4 o'clock in the morning on channel 850 on the TV. I'm sleeping, and I'm hearing John Coltrane playing Interstellar Space. But then something was happening while this music was playing. I was looking at a black woman doing this from behind a tree. I woke up, and I didn't know how to interpret that dream. But then I was leaving that morning for Los Angeles. As I got to the airport, the governor was there. The governor said, that's him. That's the man that cured Alcida of leukemia. That's the man I'm talking about. The governor had a lot of people around him. So I went, I was leaving for Los Angeles. He was leaving for the capital. He didn't know that we were going to meet that morning. So they was talking to me and asking me questions. Finally, 2 men that were standing away from me, they were white men from the United States. They came up to me and said, well, we have heard of your miracle cures. I said, sir, I don't even know what a miracle is. Especially perform one. I just happened to cure leukemia. That's not a miracle. To you it may be. Because your school of thought have you to believe that curing these diseases is one great big feat. No, it's simple common sense. I'm an African. Now this is where the naked women are going to come out. They said to me, we have heard of your miracle cures, but have you been saved? You see? Right there, I consider that an imposition. Why do you take the liberty to believe that I'm one of those that have accepted your philosophy that I have to be saved? I say, from what? The man politely answered and said, from your sins, of course. I said, wait just a minute. I said, you know, man, while you guys were standing over there, I said, and I looked at you both, and I said, two very intelligent young men. But now I have to question that. He said, why? I said, well, because the color of my skin should have prevented you from asking me that question, have I been saved? He said, what does the color of your skin have to do with anything? I say, it has to do with everything. I am the son of a woman that was taken away from the forests of Africa. She, to begin with, she didn't have any clothes on. But she didn't have any alcohol. And she didn't have any prostitution. And she didn't have any supermarkets. And she didn't have a hospital. And she didn't need anything that God didn't make. And she didn't have any money. So all these things constitute sin. So my mother in the jungles was sinless. How did I become sinful? You cut it out. You stop that. We have to begin to change our diet, because this diet here of blood and starch is all we eat. That is all we eat. And then with this diet of blood and starch, which confounds the hormonal structure, we have the nerve to tell each other's brother, you were wrong. I'm wrong. I mean, where did you get that from? I'm wrong. You've been eating blood and starch, and you're going to tell me I'm wrong. No. We got to stop it. Because the blood and starch is why I couldn't penetrate Africa. So, you forgot, right? I'm in the Rayborn building. Who is present? Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas, right? John Conyers, Illinois. Or Detroit? Jesse Jackson Jr. from the House of Appropriation. Our most beloved President Bush. No, we have to give him credit. And no African government ever given me the privilege to practice herbology. Bush did. Bush appropriated $5 billion to fight AIDS in Africa, right? And the African government didn't appropriate one dime. They didn't want their brother to do it for free. So Bush stands out way above there. Bush gave $5 billion, and Jesse Jackson Jr. is there. So when I go to the podium and I say, fellas, y'all don't have to look for the cure of AIDS anymore. Here it is. Jesse Jackson Jr. did this. I said, I'm going to talk about this. I have to write about this in my book. Because you, not me, but you and I believe in the leaders. We hope that they could do something, right? Well, they had a chance. So 17 African ambassadors. Only one came to me from Mali. The only man came to me and said, Dr. Sebi, I have to respect your position. and I appreciate your position. You have proven that you cure AIDS, and I would like for you to go to Mali. But that's not the country I was talking about previously. He just presented himself that day. But Jesse Jackson Jr. didn't tell you that I cure AIDS, right? He didn't tell his daddy either, isn't it? And Miss Sheila Jackson Lee didn't talk about it, right? And so did John Conyers. So who gives a damn? You see? But that's good. That's good. We don't need leaders, isn't it? So we're going to do it. Because we're doing it now. Because those black women I'm talking about, there's one sitting there. They are going to tell the world we cure AIDS. But last night, Clinton and Sanjay Gupta is on CNN talking about the end of AIDS. How about the end of sickle cell? How about the end of lupus? How about the end of herpes? How about the end of blindness? They didn't find those, but they find the end of AIDS. How is that possible? Are we going to buy that too? Are we going to let them continue to say that there is no cure for AIDS when your brother is curing it? So we are guilty. We are the ones that's guilty, not the leaders, because they're sick. All the leaders are sick. You can look at them and tell they're sick. So we have to forget about the leaders, right? So which animal in the forest follows a male? None, right? They all follow females. So how did we begin to follow males? I mean, that was the most, look, the one thing I wanted in my life was a woman laying by me as my significant other or my wife, that she didn't have a God or a devil in her brain. That woman is sitting there. Because I could not have a woman laying by me and she worshiping something else. I mean nothing to her. No, you worship you. That's who you worship. That's who we worship in the forest. And we were doing quite well. Because none of us, her children, could talk about how long did our parents live in the forest of Africa. You don't know. For millions of years since creation. Did we have money? We live a perpetual vacation. Now I gotta wear this stupid suit on. When I didn't have to wear any clothes. But now just to live, I have to have a $15,000 suit on, a $5,000 shoes. I have to have all kind of stuff on me. And then I qualify. I qualified. Do you have a master's degree? Man, I didn't go to school. Oh, put him aside. So in essence, there's no one on this planet that is interested in the cure for any disease. None of the leaders, none of those who are talking, they are not interested. It was simple. It was understanding that is alkalinity that cures, not acidity. And any healer that comes to you with these things, like adding carrots, like moringa, it says here, one of the things that I are careful with, it says here, if you add carrot juice with it, it's going to help you. But just a minute, carrot was made by some dude in Holland. It's very acid. So this moringa knows that you have both eyes closed, so I could sell you anything. We don't want that anymore. We don't want to tell stories anymore. We don't want to protect the stories anymore. But you see what happened? When you have been healing or call yourself a healer for 20 or 30 years using comfrey and rose hips and recommending tofu, and someone comes on the set and says that you may not be quite right, man, you get off there. You begin to get crazy. You begin to go crazy on that person because you have invested 30 years and people know you, and now you can't turn back and say, I was wrong. Well, I was wrong. And it was one little lady, 94 years of age, named Mrs. Holloman. I was along with the rest of the healers. I was reading these books by Jethro Kloss, Alma Hutchins, Indian Herbology of North America, Myers, Christopher, also this other named Shooks. And they all have calcium in it, so I had to believe that, right? And I went to Mrs. Holloman. I said, Mrs. Holloman, you got to drink carrot juice. She said, sit down, boy. I think you're crazy. I think you're out of your mind. I'm 94 years of age. I don't wear glasses. I don't need you to come and tell me to drink carrot juice because I know that carrot is a poison. I was in Rattan, the island of Rattan, and a woman was listening to me talk, and she asked me, what is the best breakfast in the morning? I said, I don't know. She said, a glass of hot water. I know she was right. The sister was right. So in essence, all of the hoopla about AIDS was just noise. We've been curing AIDS since 1984. Why didn't you know about it? The media didn't let you hear it, right? Jesse Jackson Jr. didn't talk about it, right? Well, I think in the book I have to mention his name because this is what's happening. They're lying to us. And we have to stop it. We have the cure for every disease in the world. We, the black race, is responsible. Not the white, not the Chinese, not the Arab. The Arab need help. They need help now. All Arabs need help. Because there's no way in the world where you find the highest incidence of eye problem like Arabia. Because they eat lamb. But could you go and tell an Arab to start eating his lamb? It's like going to tell someone that uses cocaine, stop. Then you're crazy. Like going to Africa and tell a Maasai, hey Maasai, you only live 47 years, man, and you're going to die because you're eating raw blood and starch. He's going to chop your head off. And he should. Then we go to Guinea, and my wife came to me running. She said, the young man in there with his wife, he's 19. And she's complaining he's impotent. At 19, she said, yes. My wife came with it. What happened? We asked the boy, what does he eat? He eats cassava. Cassava? We say raw? Yes. Go to Guinea. It's a what? Cassava. I want you to go to any African country and tell them, no, just ask them please, why do you eat cassava? Oh, this is African. This is from history. Hey, African, I know you've been bamboozled too, because cassava is not a product of nature, nor of Africa. Cassava is a starch that needs the aid of a man to grow it. Cassava cannot grow by itself, and it has cyanide. But the cyanide has already affected the brain. He cannot think for himself. It's like talking to a Haitian or a Brazilian. In fact, the only country that I have ever visited that have people dark like me, but nobody in Brazil is black. Brazil. If you go and research the census of Brazil, you will never find a black person in Brazil. Everybody is white. That is how much they have offended us, that we hate the very image that God made. Something is wrong. Something got to be wrong. Me, I was a very good Christian, and a very good Muslim, a very good Buddha. And I wanted to join the Well, I don't want to mention it. But anyway, I was a good everything. But what I found, that they were feeding me the wrong food. And I had to deny all of them because they feed us garbage. There isn't a religion in the world that have fed the black race in America or anywhere in the world the food that is consistent with their cellular predisposition. So if you, my religion, is feeding me the wrong food, then what is the message you are sending? It's like putting gasoline in a diesel car. You would not get to South Philly. No, you're not. It's not going to run right. But we eating starch and blood, and we want a dialogue. Dialogue based on what? I mean, come on now. We are the remnants of what were. Let us try to bring it back. We can't challenge each other's. The only thing we have to offer each other's now is love. But to get to that point, a sister told me the other day, because I made a statement in the church, a brave woman stood up and asked me, Dr. Sebi, what have you learned from the entity that you are forwarding to us now? What have you learned from it? I learned to kiss everybody's butt. And I meant that. It came out that way in the church. Well, I had to give it that way, because that is the way it came to my brain. I kiss everybody's butt. It's easy. You see, it makes it easy. When you start kicking it, somebody's going to do something to you. And when you start kissing it, they reward you. So this sister came to me, and she was very smart. She said, do you literally? I said, drop your panties. Well, I came out of a woman's vagina. I could kiss her rear end. That's easy, isn't it? Is it easy? See, I have no what you all call shame. I don't know what that is. I'm not serious. I'm not ashamed. I'm not a man. I'm a male. Beyond. See, I have no what you all call shame. I don't know what that is. I'm not serious. I'm not ashamed. I'm not a man. I'm a male. Beyond that, I don't know. You guys are men. I'm a male. I stay there. It's easy. So, brothers and sisters, look. The deal is this. We have the cure for AIDS. Now you're going to get a chance to ask questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to ask whatever question comes to your brain. Feel free to ask. I mean, please, don't you hesitate. Don't you feel that you have to restrict yourself. I know Brother Adis is here. He may ask a few. I'm glad to see the brother. You know, Brother Adis is a brother I've been knowing for years. Stand up, brother. When I saw the brother the other day, I was very encouraged because the brother looks good. Yes, sir. I appreciate the brother. The brother looks good. The brother, I remember him on Sultan and Kwasi in New York. I would hope that Kwasi would come. And a bunch of other brothers. It was a bunch of us brothers. We were in love. New York was, look, we were in love. There was a love that we used to share that was so nice, so warm. But none of us, or all of us, understood that we couldn't follow anybody. Because if you start following one, you have to dislike the other group. But I'm a black man. I have to love everybody. I have to love Muslims. I have to love Buddhists. I have to love Christians. So if I have to love everybody, then I'm going to make it easy. I ain't joining nobody. Because I have to love everybody anyway. So it makes it easy. So now we go to the question. The sister and then you, another, yes. Good afternoon.
Is it necessary to circumcise the male child?
Again, sit down. The sister asked, is it necessary to circumcise the boy? The male child. Well, who started that? European. Who? My last little girl was born. I said, I told the mother, if this child is born and I'm not here, you will not cut the navel string. Okay? You understand? Listen to me now, Fanny. You will not cut this baby navel string. Okay. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. When the baby's born, you put the baby on your chest and let the baby suck your breast. The placenta is going to come right out. You put the placenta in a bowl and put some flowers on it. Keep the navel string attached to the baby until the placenta. 4 days later, it falls off the baby. You throw away everything. No cutting, no stress. No, it isn't necessary to circumcise. Because I was never circumcised. It was you. Next.
I've been treated by you before and was very successful with it. But I'm a backslider and I want to know what is the cure for AIDS so I can get back on track.
She said that I treated her before and that she was cured. But something happened. I don't know. She wanted to get back on track. And the next question about how do I cure AIDS? Well, I have a daughter now that's 21. And she's the key to beautiful things. She's the daughter of this woman. Her mother hated me. And with all rights. The woman was right. Oh God, she was right. I have 2 wives in the same house and this woman is in love with me. Oh God, this nigga's crazy. He's a Solomon. Nigga, look, you are a jive, MF. Her mother cursed me out. She cursed me out and I'm standing looking at Miss Margaret. And I could see the hurt in her eyes. Because this woman is in love with this man that already have 2 wives in the same house. Boy, what do I do? And I find myself in this triangle here and don't know how I got in it. But years went by. No, she got a baby. She got pregnant. They kicked her out of the house. But that's okay. She had the baby, little girl, Zave. Zave grew up. Zave was 19. She cured her mother, her grandmother, of diabetes. The little girl that this woman didn't want to come into the world grew up to cure her of diabetes. Last month I got a notice from the mother that Zave just killed a woman in New York of AIDS. How do we cure AIDS? It's simple. We put the compounds together to address the mucous membrane, to cleanse the mucous membrane, to cleanse the bowels. Simultaneously, we went to the forest and found the herbs such as over here on the alkali side, sarsaparilla is an herb that has the highest concentrate of iron. Fluorine, iron. Guaco, that is a plant that has, I thought I had a stick with me because I'm always chewing on it. This is guaco. Guaco is a plant that would definitely strengthen the immune system because it is iron again. But it has potassium iodide. No, potassium phosphate, not iodide. Iodide comes from the ocean. Kankansa, that's an African plant. Kankansa is an African plant. This plant has one of the highest concentrate of what? Potassium phosphate. Those are just few of the plants. We use about 40 some odd plants to cleanse the body, strengthen the immune system, and electrify the system, because you want to electrify the body. That's how simple we cure AIDS. We cure AIDS. We don't treat AIDS. This thing here says that Moringa said, and they keep repeating it, that they uses it with the belief that it's going to cure. They think, oh no, we got to stop talking like that. We cure. That's how we got to start talking. If you don't cure, get out of the way. Because you're lying to people. Next question. The brother. Peace and blessing.
I'm really enjoying your lecture, and my question is, when you see a client, what's your thought process?
When I see a client, my thought process, I already know what the brother needs. Like the Mexican knew what I needed. The Mexican said, you're dying because you have disobeyed. Without, unconsciously you disobeyed. So when a brother comes to me, I already know what the brother needs. I don't need to go into a whole bunch of scientific jargons and intimidating the brother by putting light in his eyes, iridology. I don't do that. I don't do anything. I just give you what I know you need. People come to me for compound from Japan. She killed a woman in Japan named Kaoto Kita in Kobe. She never seen a woman. She was in hospice already. With cancer of what? The lungs. There you go. Cancer of the lungs in hospice. She never seen the woman. In a month time, she's vacationing in Hawaii. Okay, there you got it. Yes. Harder than you. Yes, the sister.
I have a sister who she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she's been in my care for 2 years. I do have her on a fresh food diet, all organic foods, all raw foods, and I'm seeing a big improvement. But I feel as though she needs some other things. And what else can I do to help her?
Alzheimer's.
She has Alzheimer's, yes, sir.
Okay, Alzheimer's. That's a brain problem, right? Remember what I said? There's only one disease? Okay. When you have mucus in the nasal passage, it is sinusitis. When you have mucus in the bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. When you have mucus in the lungs, it's pneumonia. But now you have mucus where? For you to have Alzheimer's, where is the mucus? So we have to remove the mucus from out of the system, especially the brain, but then we have to feed the brain. That's where biochemistry comes into play. The brain. Like if the sister was suffering with rickets, that's bones, right? So we have to address calcium. If she had leukemia, it would be blood, that's iron. But now she has Alzheimer's. She has mucus in the brain, which prevents the brain from receiving what? Oxygen. Now, what is the brain composed of? Copper and carbon. That is what produces electricity. Copper and carbon. It's simple. Copper and carbon produces electricity. You go to an electrical plant, and all you're going to see is a big wheel turning, and it's copper. But against the wheel are these carbon brushes, and the friction of the carbon and the copper produces the resonance they call electricity. Electricity is not fire, it is vibration. But when you short circuit it, it's become fire. So yes, we do have, but she must go to Honduras. What is her age approximately? What? Oh, she's young. She's young. She's very young. She could go to Honduras, and it would be fast. Why Honduras? Like sister went to Honduras with her husband, Linda, Richie, and her husband. She will see the improvement in days. Like the woman went down with a goiter. Like the brother went down there with his stiff leg, and in 3 days he was running up the hill. And he could not believe it. Like, this is where a name comes to mind. And I want you all to remember this, because this is a woman that we all love and we all respect. A brother was taken to Honduras, to the village. You see, the thermal waters in the village has a pH of 8.9. One of the highest attainable pH in waters is found in Honduras and in Africa. Thermal waters, that is. The little boy named Shelby, he has AIDS. He has Kaposi sarcoma. All the black spots on his body. The boy went to the thermal bath 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. The boy came out of the bathroom screaming. The black spots were gone. His mother and my wife Ma'a were very close friends. Ma'a told Malakia, take Shelby to Honduras. On the 4th day, he's doing good. How long is Shelby going to stay there? 1 month. I said, 1 month, he's killed. On the 4th day, the soul disappeared, right? On the 10th day, he tell his mama, I want my passport. She said, for what? I want to go back to Los Angeles. Dr. Sebi says that you have to stay here a month. He said, bitch, did you hear me? That is what we, mothers and fathers, get from our children today because of those hamburgers. It wasn't Shelby's fault. It wasn't that child's fault. That child went back to Los Angeles and began to use crack and died about 2 months later. But Malakia is telling the sister that you all know very well about the incident. Present was Oprah Winfrey, and she said, she was telling the story to her aunt, which is Maya Angelou. Well, I'm nobody. I'm nobody anywhere in the world. I just happen to cure AIDS, but that means absolutely nothing. My son told me I messed up. I should have been a boxer in cracking people's jaws. I get millions of dollars. But the crack jaw come to you and they pay you pennies. So you are nobody, daddy. In this world of today, curing AIDS or any disease means absolutely nothing. I am not a famous person. I'm insignificant. So Miss Oprah Winfrey said, well, if he's that good, how come I haven't heard of him? Well, I'm not famous. Oprah. Oh. My book would be out in July. I know she's not going to advertise it, although she suffered embarrassment with 1 million broken pieces. But that's okay. We have to remember the blood and starch. So when you go home, you remember that blood and starch, because that prevents you from liking you, from loving yourself, because I was there. I was there. Didn't I want to blow my brains out once? Yes, I did. Well, why was that? I was stressed. I was eating blood and starch. But when the Mexican came and said I was wrong, I listened. And here I am, 42 years later. Do you see the benefits of this? A Mexican came to rescue me, to rescue you. So we cannot. But wait, the other part of it is Africa. There isn't an African country that I could go and practice herbology. But why did Bush, who all of us think, or most of us think the man is bad, how come I could practice herbology in the United States?
You got power over him. That's why.
I don't have any power. No, I don't. Because I don't even know what power is. I just know what's mine. That's all. I know what's mine and what's yours, what's ours. So what's ours, when the Supreme Court said, the FDA said, you were not supposed to sell these products. Exhibit A. The FDA said, what? That I'm not supposed to sell my products? Well, maybe the FDA knows the food that is consistent with the African cellular predisposition. Because when they removed us from Africa, they didn't bring food with us. Maybe the FDA knows about these foods. Could you tell us, please, Mr. FDA? But when the FDA talks, we get scared. Scared of what? They're not God. You understand me? No, I don't have any power over nobody. I don't want that. If you know what I like to do, you would know I don't want any power. the brother in the back.
Hepatitis C.
Yes, sir. Mr. Charles Fisher. Who is Charles Fisher? He was the manager for LL Cool J. That was my second case of hepatitis C. Yes. What is hepatitis C? The liver has been stressed beyond. Hepatitis C is nothing. Maria Elena from San Pedro had cancer of the liver. Her mother and her aunt bought the black dress to bury her. The doctor sent her home to die. Maria Elena's sister saw a newspaper with me in it. She said, hey, there's a nigger down there in Jutiapa that got a big mouth that says he could do a bunch of stuff. And she came. 2 years have gone by. Maria Elena is healthier than her sister. Yes. What is hepatitis C? It's when the liver has got so toxic and loaded with what? With poison. Blood and starch. So we clean it, clean the body. Because you have to clean the intestines. You have to clean the liver. You have to clean the blood. Because all of these have been affected. Yes, brother, we have cured many of hepatitis C.
So what herbs would you use, doctor?
It's not an herb. It's a therapy.
Therapy?
It's a therapy we have.
Okay. I was so encouraged to, what's that, interferon.
Interferon?
Yeah, I was encouraged to be...
Brother, interferon is something that's been on the set for 25 years, and I have been curing AIDS and sickle cell and lupus, herpes, blindness, and paralysis. Interferon doesn't do that. Interferon is a chemical that is derived from the penis of a brother. You know that, right? You know it. Yeah. That's not even right. Come on, the Bible says the herbs are for the healing of the nation. The Bible isn't saying about chemicals. Right? Okay. So now, we could tell the world, yes, we object. Oh, one more thing. One more thing is very important. Many of you have insurance companies, right? Insurances. And on that sheet, it says that they do not honor anyone that isn't an accredited physician. Meaning that you are compelled to go to see a physician to give you his chemicals. But now, they are telling you that they are God. And that you have no other recourse. But let me tell you something. Yes, they have to honor us. Because we have the only compound in the world that is consistent with our cellular predisposition. Nobody else.
Can you give us some foods that are alkaline?
Food that are alkaline. We could begin with mushrooms. We could begin with mushrooms, quinoa, quinoa, amaranth, mushrooms, portobello, crimini, also oyster mushrooms. Many people are of the opinion that oyster mushrooms or mushrooms are fungus. What is a fungus? A fungus is something that grows on you and eats things up. Mushrooms are the product of mycelia. This is a network that nourishes. I have cured many diseases, psychological problems, with the Stropharia cubensis. So let me tell you something. Mushrooms are very good. They're high in potassium. Yes. And then the next, wait. Good afternoon, ma'am.
I know
the blood and the starches, two of the things you said that we should get rid of. I'm working really hard. I've gotten rid of the blood. I'm having a hard time with the starch. I just needed an idea of some things too.
To substitute.
Yeah, substitute.
Well,
and one more question, water. I do the distilled, but I hear a lot about, drink spring, drink distilled, which I do the distilled a lot.
Okay. About the starches, you could eat quinoa or amaranth. And also spelt. You could buy the spelt pasta. Spelt. You could buy spelt. I eat a lot of spelt. And you know something? I learned something lately, like I'm learning something every day. Because I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. And it's impossible for me to know everything. But I learned this. That when you combine spelt flour, quinoa, and amaranth together, just the pure powder, the flour, and you want to bake something, if you just add the almond milk and the sea salt and the other ingredients, such as you could add a little bit of what? Agave is good. That's very good. But now, if you want this flour to rise up and be fluffy, who said sea moss? You did. You cook the sea moss to a jelly. And you take about 2 tablespoons and you put the cooked sea moss in the batter along with the almond milk and the rest of the ingredient, and that stuff becomes fluffy. I said, this is a natural yeast. And someone hit me to that, which was Gary, right? Gary Ricketts worked with me for many years, and he still works with me. And he put that together. He made a waffle. Oh my God! I used to go to Gary's house in the morning just to eat his waffle. But his waffle was sweet because he used to put the maple syrup in it, in the batter. And then he make the waffle. You didn't have to put any maple syrup on it after that. It was delicious. And in the morning, okay, just let me go quick through all.
Peace, Dr. Sebi. I wanted to know if you accepted practicums, internships.
What's that?
Internships, like practicums, to come and learn. Well, I came from Honduras,
You come from Honduras?
No, I want to practice. I want to know if I could have an internship.
Oh, if you want to...
I know you say black woman is key. So
as a student?
Yes.
Well, that is what we're working on now, because the woman took over the whole thing, my daughters and the women that associated with them. And they were like many more sisters to join in, because I'm out of here. I want to go sit down by the river and smoke my dope.
Can I get your information?
What's that?
Can I get your information?
So wait, the sisters, give her your number, because she's the one that's in charge of that, and I'm quite sure that she's going to consider you.
Okay.
Wait, the brother is deciding. Hi. Thank you for coming.
Yes. My name is Justine, and what I want to know is, how do you get rid of fear?
How to get rid of fear?
Yes, fear.
Ha ha! There ain't a nigga in the world as scared as me. And you want me to tell you how to get rid of fear. But you know something about fear? Fear. Fear is a natural occurrence. You don't get rid of fear. You understand fear. You don't get rid of it, because fear is necessary. But you don't let fear control you, right? Because it would paralyze you. Fear would prevent you from opening the door where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Fear, you see, when I was insane, to a greater extent than I am now, I was placed in a psychiatric ward in New Jersey. And they were right. But what they didn't know, that I was aware that I was sick. I was also aware that I would not take any of anything that they gave me in that hospital. But there was a man that, you know the swinging doors, right? A swinging door is a door that opens both ways, and you're going to swing it. And every time he came to his door to go inside his room, he used to stand there. Yeah. Oh, and he could never open that door. I used to go by and swing the door. And he'd go in and say, thank you, man. Why couldn't he open that door? Fear. But once you open the door and you see this great big thing, fear is gone. A bright tomorrow, hey, I'm no longer in fear. But then comes another one that's going to trick you. What that surety? Is E? All right. Surety. Surety make you do this. Yeah, I'm bad now, but there could be a quicksand there, and you're gone. So you learn that when you conquer fear, then you walk, but you test carefully. And if you conquer surety, then you go into the other one. And this one I'm going to really trick you. Power. Power gives you a freedom to execute, but not to violate. Because if you violate, even though you're in power, they will kill you. They did that to Nicolae Ceausescu, right? In Czechoslovakia. Because Nicolae Ceausescu wanted everyone to stop eating meat. Because he knew. But you don't change people overnight. They killed the man. Because he imposed some other laws on them that were cruel. He used to kill them too. So power has to be understood, not to be misused. Then if you survive power, then you get the last one that's going to get you. So you see, it's all about peace. I'm happy that I'm 73 years of age and that I'm happy, but I have to thank the Mexican. But when I go around my brother 73, are you all right? I say, Marcel, that's the only one alive now. My age. I say, you asking me if I'm all right? No, man, I'm not all right. He's coughing. He got these back pains and stuff. And I say, you could do better than that. Because you're only 72, I'm a year older than him. But he can't see beyond where he's at. And I shouldn't expect for him to make such a leap, because I didn't do it that way either. Because even after the Mexican had stopped me from eating the stuff, I went back cheating with some chicken. And one day I went by Brother Bill Stenner's, the Golden Bird. You all know the Golden Bird in LA, right? You remember that? And I bought some Golden Bird chicken. I ran home, and I look out the window, nobody's coming. and take it outside and spray the house, because they had these 4 black women. They were nosy. These black women were nosy. They always come up. What you have? You open the refrigerator, looking all around. They must have seen something in me. But these 4 black women were the one that stopped me from lying. Stop eating that chicken, the last thing. But here I am. And I'm happy to say that here I am. Because I want all my brothers to say, here I am, at 80 or 90. Because the man that healed me was 94, and he had 2 wives in Mexico. He was healthy, wore no glasses, and he was always laughing. He said, look, before you leave, remember this. Never you socialize with people that are serious. Serious people are sick. Because there's no reason to be serious. Because I cure AIDS and diabetes, I've proven that. And I'm not serious. I'm your brother. I want to play with you. I play with my wife all the time. I don't have no time to this other stuff. If this other stuff comes in, then something is wrong. Next question.
Hi, Dr. Sebi. My question is, as a woman, how do you cure high blood pressure and rapid hair loss?
High blood pressure and what?
Rapid hair loss.
Rapid hair loss?
Hair.
Or hair
loss.
High blood pressure. High blood pressure is easy. Just stop eating. Where we have the product to remove the pressure immediately. People go down to Honduras, and in less than 3 days, the pressure's down. The man just came from Caymans. That's right, Caymans. Grand Caymans. He came down with high blood pressure, diabetes, and impotent. A young brother, 52. 3 days later, man, my pressure is down. Dr. Sebi, my pressure is down. I say, yes, I know that. What's the problem there? Why are you so amazed? 5 days later, my sugar is gone. I don't have no more sugar. And then, on the 10th day, he come with his girlfriend telling me. I like to see that. Because I was impotent. And these old folks in Honduras was telling me to drink eggs and wine and meat, cheese, butter. And the Mexicans say, you're crazy. Stop eating, and you can get all the sex you want. Stop eating, and it happened. So brothers, if you're in trouble, stop eating. And there's a product outside, they call it Viento. Brother, I don't care how much in deficit you are, you will be out in less than 24 hours. I know. I have to be abreast with that because my wife is 20 years younger than me. I can't allow this woman to get ahead of me. You understand? And she looks good and she's youthful. So I have to maintain energy. And I want all of you brothers to understand that stuff that we eat, wait. Just draw this for you, that we will see what it is I'm talking about. Because this is important. I recorded a man from the age of 15. I saw his life because I was a curious boy. Remember, I'm the boy that didn't go to school. So I was looking at things that the schoolboy wasn't looking at or seeing. This man named Brindley, he was in his 20s. I was 21, he was 25, 4 years older than me. And he was the dude, a woman's man. But when I was in my 40s and I went back to Honduras, Brindley was 46, I was 41. And Brindley was like, yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. His wife gone. She's a seamstress. She's gone a long time. But when he was young, he had every woman in the world. I said, Brindley, what happened? Man, you know, I'm old now. I said, hey, nigga, you're 46. I'm 41. There again, what is old? What is old? Old is when you get to my age. 73, nigga, you old. Sure, I'm old. If I had a big belly on me, and I wore these glasses, and I was hooked up to a machine, and no woman want an old sick man beside her. So brothers, look, stop eating blood. Because when you get to my age, you want to be healthy. You want to be playing with her, right? Sure you do. Why not? She's your companion. You want to play and laugh with this woman. Brindley couldn't. Why? You see, this stuff right here. This is what a man plays his manhoodness with. His penis. Yeah, I'm a man. But in here, to keep this penis erected, these little orifices, they call veins and the rest, has to be opened for the blood to flow, or else you think I can't talk about it? I was 30 years of age. That was happening to me. And the last person that saw that was a woman named Audrey Williams. She said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "You're sick. You better see a doctor because you're too young. You're 30 years of age." And I did. And it happened. But I had to stop eating. On the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th day, I was happy. On the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, I was going and holding on to the bathroom. Everything was spinning around. Why? Because all of the mucus that was leaving my brain, my eyes was very foggy. I couldn't see. I was already wearing glasses, but now it's worse. But on the 17th, 18th, 19th, on the 17th day I woke up, I was looking at the ceiling, and I remember feeling so calm, a feeling that I had not experienced in many, many, many years. I was calm. On the 27th day, I didn't hear the wheezing in my chest from the asthma. My diabetes, I couldn't find glucose in my sugar. But on the 57th day of fasting, of not eating anything, I had an erection. Why? Why? Aha! They drain out. It drained out because I was taking these herbs and drinking water. Taking these herbs and juice and drinking water. And the body got a chance to do what? Cleanse itself. You see, it's easy to bring back that happiness that we could love, that we could share,